Hi everyone, it's Emily and I'm back with another episode of the 21 and Sensory podcast. So on today's episode, which is episode 28, I have the very lovely and super creative Cheryl. So many of you will recognise Cheryl from the autistic videos she creates on TikTok, where she now has over 200,000 followers, which is insane. So Cheryl, would you like to say hi and just do a little kind of introduction to yourself?
Hi, I'm Cheryl, I'm 25, and as you heard, I make videos on TikTok.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. I'm super excited to just kind of chat to you a bit. So let's go for a little bit of background. So you're autistic. Do you mind sort of letting the kind of listeners know when you were diagnosed and how you kind of went about that sort of kind of process?
So, as you know, I'm autistic, and I was diagnosed March 2018, so nearly 3 years ago now. Kind of started at university. I had a mentor for having mental health difficulties, and he works with a lot of students who are on the autistic spectrum, and he was like, "Hey, Cheryl, I think you might be autistic." And I was like, maybe. So I did a bit of research online, especially around autism in girls. And I was like, wow, this really relates. And it would make a lot of sense. Like my entire childhood would finally make sense if I got diagnosed. So I went to my GP with a list of examples of how I related to autism, not just now, but when I was younger. And she was like, wow, yeah, maybe we should refer you to the diagnosis team. So then I waited around 2 years because, waiting times are pretty long. And I went for an assessment, and my mum was there, and I was speaking with a nurse. It lasted about 3 hours, and he was asking loads of questions about my development, how I was as a baby, my childhood, all this kind of stuff. And my mum was there to kind of answer the questions I couldn't. And then we went on to like secondary school and how I am now, and just spoke a lot about examples of how I relate to the criteria. And I did a few questionnaires because, wouldn't be the NHS if there wasn't a questionnaire. um, and yeah, it came up that I was autistic in the end, and they had to go to a big like multidisciplinary team meeting to talk to the doctors to run through my case, and they were like, "Yeah, 100% autistic," and that kind of made a lot of sense.
Oh, amazing. So it wasn't until you got to uni. So were you like, if it's 3 years ago, were you like 22? Is that right?
Yeah, I was 22.
22. So it wasn't until you got to uni that someone kind of said, look, you might be autistic. Had you like thought about it at all before? Or
Yeah, I had. So I thought about it when I was 16. I was really struggling with my mental health when I was that age. And I was in hospital, and I was like, I actually think I'm autistic. Like a lot of the things I was doing were kind of things autistic people did.
Mhm.
And I was a bit concerned, and I did some research, and I was like, yeah, this kind of relates. So I kind of went to my doctor, and I was like, my psychiatrist in the hospital, and I was like, hey, I think I'm autistic. And they kind of laughed it off and thought
Right.
that I was just using that as a way to get discharged quicker. And that was
Right.
really rubbish, because I spoke to my mum about it as well, and she kind of agreed that she thought I was autistic at the time, and it all got laughed off and like shoved aside, which is a bit awkward.
Yeah, because you could have really done with that, diagnosis, and to have to wait until you were 22. That's
Yeah,
mad.
exactly. It would have helped if I was diagnosed a lot earlier.
Mhm. That's really interesting. I mean, I'm glad that you had someone supportive at uni who kind of picked up on it a bit. That's great. But like you say, being in hospital and reaching out to someone, you kind of hope to be taken seriously, and it doesn't sound like you were particularly.
No.
Oh, that's a real shame. And how do you feel kind of now, kind of having your diagnosis? Have you kind of embraced it more? I mean, obviously on TikTok, that's the impression I get.
Yeah, I've definitely embraced it. Like, at first, it was really strange because I was like, wow, this means so much. And it was a lot of information to take in because it was like I had so many experiences from being a child that now made sense. And I never
Mm.
understood them before. So it was a lot of information to take in, and it took a long time to like let it settle. But once it settled, like I kind of embraced it a bit. I was like, wow, like I know how to look after myself now, because before I would do millions of things. I'd do all my uni work. I would then have a job. I would then do volunteering on top. I would never rest. And that's how I got really unwell. Like I had really bad mental health problems because I wasn't resting. And I didn't realise that I'm actually autistic and I need to recharge. Whereas I'd look at all my friends who would be doing 1,000,001 things and I would hate myself because I couldn't do it and I didn't realise that I was autistic. So it really helped me, benefited my mental health. Now with TikTok, I saw lots of autistic creators on there and they were so confident. And I was like, wow, I want to be like them. Like they are so confident. They're owning it. And that's why I kind of started making videos because I saw other people do it. And I wanted to be positive. And yeah, like just making videos and just seeing the community on TikTok has like completely changed who I am and like how I am. And I'm confident now, like at work, I will be my autistic self. I don't hide it anymore. And I always used to hide it like for years. And that's just exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. It's so great to hear that it's something you're kind of learning kind of to embrace more and more. And it sounds like you've become like even more confident in yourself and also kind of online as well. And that's great that you can like be yourself as well at work. I think that's really important. And that's something that I'm trying to like work towards, is trying to like tell someone at work and then not have to mask at work. Because it's, I don't know, it'd be great to not have to like mask, because like you say, it like tires you out so much. And it's obviously not great for your mental health as well. But that's really interesting, the kind of path you've gone along. And have you kind of like your uni like supportive? Like are they kind of putting in kind of additional like support and stuff for you if you need it?
Yeah, so I'm at a different uni now because I'm doing nursing. Another life change. And my uni is so supportive. Like my last uni weren't supportive at all, especially like the course tutors and stuff. But now these tutors are incredible. I don't know if it's because they're nurses themselves and they're just caring people. But the support is so good. Like they're constantly telling you need to recharge. Like this is for everyone, not just me. They're like, you need to look after yourselves. You need to recharge. All this kind of stuff. Like you can only be so resilient. You need to look after yourselves. Like it's amazing. And they're constantly like, if you're struggling, there's the wellbeing centre. If you don't know how to get there, we can like tell you. Especially with the pandemic, they're always checking in on us to make sure we're okay, because it's quite isolating studying from home a lot of the time. And that's amazing. And I get a mentor and a study skills tutor through DSA, which is amazing. A bit of equipment as well. And yeah, it's a lot better this time. I feel more confident and happy.
Oh, that's good. And it sounds like a really like supportive course. That's good that like, because I really feel like sometimes unis miss the whole kind of just like mental health and checking in on you and stuff like that. And like you say, if you're working from home, it can be a bit kind of lonely and isolating. So that's really nice to hear that, you know, they're kind of on top of that sort of thing and just checking in with you, and that you have the support that you need, which is great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, that's good. And are you enjoying your course in terms of like nursing? Is it something that you're kind of passionate about?
Yeah, I love my course. It's so different. Like my last university degree I did, I always had this weird feeling that it wasn't where I was meant to be, but I couldn't really do much about it. And then this time I just like, first day, I'm like, I love it. And it hasn't changed since. Like I have friends, which are amazing. The course is really suited for me. Obviously, it's a bit, I don't know, interesting to be an autistic nurse. But autism has its perks. And I said this a lot in my interviews. Like I told them I was autistic in my interviews and, well, they took me. So
Yeah.
there's always its perks. We do a sim suite, which is basically where you like practice being a nurse, because my placement isn't until April. And we have actors in. And one of the things I've really struggled with, and I now know is a thing I need to pay attention, is when it's really busy and all I can hear is everyone else's conversations and I can't focus on my conversation.
Right.
So I have to kind of like stop and be like, actually, I need to refocus. And I just do that in my head. It takes like 5 seconds and then I've got that down. And I think that's amazing because I wouldn't have known that if I just went straight into practice. I'd have been like, oh my God, what's going on?
And that's so great that you get to like practice as well, like rather than be like in a hospital and doing it for the first time kind of thing. Like you actually get to kind of practice and realize the things that you're not kind of quite getting, or, you know, like I can totally understand that in a hospital, literally all you can hear is everybody else.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's really good. And also how amazing to have, you know, autistic nurses and doctors and things like that, because you will be that bit more understanding if someone neurodiverse comes in or someone with learning difficulties come in. You'll have that extra kind of, I don't know, like patient kind of rapport, I think, if that makes sense. So
I think it's a really important area. And there's a lot of autistic nurses, doctors, etc. out there, and you probably don't know about it. And I think it's really important. Like, I've had nasty people online tell me, like, how can I be a nurse if I'm autistic? But they don't really understand how autism works.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why I'm doing children's nursing is because I know I can mask less. So obviously with an adult, I feel like I have to, like, I don't know, be, I don't know what the word is, be normal, but it's not that word, but like,
yeah,
I don't know, kind of restrict what I do and just have this mask and just be like an adult, and be professional in an adult way. Whereas with children, I know I can be bubbly, I can be like having fun, stuff like that, because they're children, and that's just who I am as a person. So I don't have to hide as much as I would if I was an adult nurse.
And also, if you're a child coming in kind of ill, you want someone who's kind of fun and bubbly and is going to take care of you. And, if you can be yourself, I think that's great.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like you're really kind of, you found the course for you kind of thing.
Finally.
So did you like complete a degree, or did you like switch to this degree?
Yeah, so I completed my animation degree.
Okay.
I kind of had to do that because I didn't have any GCSEs because I wasn't very well as a teenager. So this was basically the only way I could get into nursing. And it wasn't my original plan. I thought I was going to do a career in animation, but honestly, it's just not for me. It's too isolating. I need to be doing something and just have a rewarding career and not just sit on a computer. It makes me sad.
That's fair enough. At least you know that, though, because I feel like some people kind of come out of university and they're like kind of struggle to try and get into it and it not quite be them the thing they want to do. At least you know that now what you're doing is kind of what you want to get into.
Yeah, finally, we got there.
So when did TikTok arrive in your life? When did it become a kind of thing you wanted to do?
Interesting you say that. So a friend told me to download the app, which was not 2 years ago. Yeah, nearly 2 years ago now.
Okay.
And I don't know. I didn't think much about it. I was just like, it seems like a silly app. But I'll download it, see what the fuss is about. And I was scrolling through and like, I don't know, TikTok's boring to begin with because your For You page hasn't changed to what you like. So I was kind of like, this is a bit rubbish. But then like after a few weeks, it kind of changed. And there's a lot of autistic creators on there. And I really looked up to them and I was like, wow, but I never, ever wanted to film a video. Ever. I just like wanted to watch people and have fun and like talk to my friends about things I've seen on TikTok. And then there was an autistic sound going around. It was kind of like about things you do as an autistic person. And it was going quite viral. And I was like, oh, maybe this is my chance to make a video about being autistic.
Okay.
So, I filmed it. I didn't expect much of it. And it got 500,000 views.
Wow.
Which was a lot. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. That was fun. And just kind of didn't think anything of it. And didn't really make any videos after that. Until another autistic related sound came around. And did it again. And that got 200,000 views. And I was like, oh, that was fun again. And it came to about December last year. And I was thinking about Christmas and how Christmas can be such a struggle for autistic or neurodivergent people. And I wanted to do some videos about that. So I thought, I'll do some videos about autistic struggles at Christmas, neurodivergent struggles. And that was quite popular. So then I started making videos more regularly. Can't never say that word. And it was going well, and the pandemic kind of hit, and I started like making videos really regularly, like a couple of days a week, about being autistic, about mental health awareness. I would set myself little challenges, like I'd try my fear foods, and that fear food challenge really made my channel pop.
Okay.
And I was like gaining a lot of followers, and I was like, well, I can't really go back now, can I? So yeah, that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's nice to hear that you almost you didn't go in with like a plan. It just kind of grew kind of organically, and it was something you enjoy. It's just something you enjoy doing. Like, that's quite refreshing to hear.
Exactly. Like, it wasn't like, I'm gonna make videos, this is gonna be great. It just kind of happened.
Hmm.
And even when my videos were getting quite a few views and I was getting a lot more followers, I still didn't think I would be where I am today. I just thought, I'd get to like 30k maybe on a good day. That would be great. I'd have a few people that watch my videos. I never actually expected it to be such a big thing and have such an impact on so many people.
Yeah, and I think it's so great to just now go on TikTok and see people like you who are autistic adults and like telling life as it is. Like, it's almost not, it's like the opposite of Instagram, where like everything is like, a perfect life. Like, when you come over to TikTok, people are like telling like real stories and like how they're coping with things, and like you say, like sensory stuff over Christmas, and just, I don't know, it's much more real, and I really appreciate watching things and being able like to relate to your videos. I'm like, oh, I relate to that so much.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely more real, and I always try and be positive. Like, I don't want to be negative. It's got too many followers to be negative. And that's one of the reasons why I did start making my videos, because there was a lot of negativity on TikTok. Well, the side of TikTok I was on anyway. And I was like, wow, this is like really depressing and it's getting me down. So I was like, wow, I need to like reach out to kind of not everyone, but some of these people through my videos.
Mhm.
Because TikTok like puts you in certain groups and stuff. So I'm like, wow, if I can just be like a positive person on mental health TikTok, then I could really make a difference. Or
Mhm.
neurodivergent TikTok. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so positive, but being real at the same time. So like, if I'm having a rubbish time, I will tell people I'm having a rubbish time. I
Mhm.
did a video about having a panic attack. Like, I went shopping, had sensory overload, had a massive panic attack, and I felt really rubbish. So I filmed a video like a few hours after when I was home, just to say like what happened to
Mhm.
my followers, and that got like 200,000 views. And I was like, wow, that's not even a positive video.
Mm.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but like it still got so many views because I was being real and I wasn't like sugarcoating it or lying.
Mhm. Exactly. And I think a lot of videos you see out there are kind of, I don't know, from a parent's point of view about their kids like having kind of, meltdowns or like panic attacks and stuff like that. And actually it's quite nice to see like an autistic adult, like, this is what happened, this is how it's affected me, having an autistic kind of meltdown, and it not being a tantrum, and it being, something that kind of tires you out for like a few hours or even like a few days. Like, it's so nice to see the real side of, being autistic and coping every day in this weird world.
Yeah, I'd agree. It is refreshing, and I love hearing from autistic adults. Like, even as myself with my channel, I'm constantly learning from other people, and I feel
Mhm.
like first-hand experience is so important. And I don't know, when you're filming your child or whatever, that's not your experience; it's their experience, but you can't get that across because you're not them.
Mhm.
Um, and I have a lot of families who have autistic kids follow me, and they just say that my videos really help them and their family because they kind of understand more, or they
Mhm.
can put some things in place and try stuff out to see if it works. And I think that's amazing because I don't know, I would have loved that as a kid. With my family like trying and learning from other autistic people. I just
Mhm.
think it's great.
Yeah, I think so too. And like you say, just to have parents, trying out things or being more aware of like just even like sensory stuff and how little things can like affect our day. And that must be, really helpful if you've got, autistic children who can't say like communicate yet, like those little things. So it sounds like you've got like a really like wide audience, which is great. And especially because you're being so positive about autism and mental health stuff, I think that's really good. It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at my little outline. So we talked a little bit about uni. How are you in terms of like TikTok? Like, it sounds like you're being very like responsible because you've got quite a big audience. Like, how do you feel about like its growth? Because obviously you like hit 200,000. Like, was it like a week or two ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you haven't really been on it that long in terms of like from last December, did you say?
Yeah, and I've only been posting regularly since April, May.
Wow. That's amazing.
I literally saw because I'm doing a recap video of like my year on TikTok,
Mhm.
and in April I was posting my I can't believe I've hit 10,000 followers, and that's
Wow.
April.
That is a mad amount of growth.
Yeah, and in September I hit 100K.
Oh my gosh. And it's not even the end of the year yet. Wow.
No.
That's mad. How do you feel about it? Because obviously it's a massive like success, but does it scare you at all? Or like how do you feel about it?
It scares me a lot.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's amazing and it's incredible, and
Mm.
like I am so grateful, and I still can't believe it. It doesn't feel real. Like it's funny. I kind of represent the people as like how many times I could sell out the O2 Arena, which is 20K
Wow.
capacity, and like so I've been to the O2 Arena quite a lot, and I was like, oh no, like that's so many people. Like even 20K is so many people,
Mhm.
um, and it's a lot. It's scary. It does make me anxious sometimes, and I'm always scared that like I'm just gonna wake up one day and everyone's left, and I don't know why.
Right.
It's a bit weird. Um,
No,
but yeah,
no.
I think it's amazing and it's incredible, and I can't believe how much I've grown. Like I never wanted to make videos on TikTok; it just happened.
Mhm.
I never expected anyone to really watch them, and now it's just so big. I have like people that like write me letters. I get messages all the time.
Oh.
Uh, Interviews. It's all just it's so much. But it's great, and I'm always just aware of what I put out because I want to be responsible.
Mhm.
And say things in the right way. I'm always scared I'm going to say something wrong and then like everyone's going to be mad at me. But I mean that hasn't happened. I think that's just a lot of anxiety. That's just me.
Mhm.
But overall, it's fantastic. I feel like I'm doing an important thing, like spreading autism and mental health awareness. I feel like that's great, and I'm really excited for next year. I wanna see how like far this goes. I'm just excited.
Yeah, just imagine this time next year. Like
Oh my god.
it'd be really interesting to like I don't know, hear from you again and be like, in a year's time.
Yeah, yeah, I can't think that far ahead. It just, it's
Yeah.
amazing. And I don't know. I feel like being a disabled creator on TikTok's hard. Like,
Mhm.
it's not easy. The algorithm's a bit weird. They don't like pushing out disabled creators. They're getting a lot better at it. But to begin with, it was kind of like so hard to get people to see your videos. But
Mhm.
they're getting so much better with it now. But I don't know, a lot of people have it, especially creators with Tourette's. It's so hard to get I don't know them on board, like TikTok on board.
Mhm.
But it's getting so much better now, which is a massive relief.
That's good because, like, I see like a lot of people. Like, I follow some people with Tourette's as well, and they get like shadow banned every so often, and it's just like, why?
Yeah,
Like, they're just making content about their daily lives. Like, let them live.
yeah, exactly. It's super hard, and I think that's why I'm always anxious that I'm going to wake up one day and everyone's going to be gone because
Mhm.
it. Even though you're creating your content, you don't really have control of who sees it.
Mhm.
Um, Whereas on a different app you might. So I don't know, it's scary, but I love it. It's great.
That's good. I'm glad you still enjoy it because that's the main thing. As great that it is that you have so many followers, it's important that you still enjoy making videos at the end of the day because
Yeah. And it's so
it's.
important to make videos that you like. Like for a little while, I was making videos that people wanted me to make, and I hated it.
Mhm.
And I was really burnt out. And I was like, wow, like I was trying to force out a video every single day, and I was at uni and had a job. It wasn't working out. So now I kind of reduce it to 4 to 5 times a week, and it's just so much better. Like the videos I make are so higher quality. I'm not just throwing out rubbish for the sake of it. Um, and I've kind of learned that actually my followers are going to wait for me, and I don't need to constantly be posting every single day. Like it's fine, like it's chill.
Yeah,
And
I get
one of the
that.
most amazing things is I started doing the point of view videos, which I don't know if you've seen.
No, I have. They're really good.
And yeah, they're like I did it once as a whim, about Tangles, which is one of my favourite fidget toys.
Mm-hmm.
And an experience that happens to me all the time where someone takes my fidget toy from them, and being my autistic self, I cannot ask for it back. I did like a little video about it. I didn't think much of it. I turned my phone off for the rest of the day, came back, and I don't know, man, it went viral. And it was on like 1 million views in like a few hours, and I was like, what is going on? And like, I feel like with TikTok, I'm constantly adapting how I film and what I share.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, because like, if I thought this time last year I was going to be doing point of view videos, which are not easy to film, I'd have been like, nah, never. But yeah, I'm constantly learning and being creative, and it's just a great outlet for me as well.
That's really great to hear. And like you're saying about the point of view videos, I love the way they come across, and I love how you'll dress up as some sort of like almost like a teacher or like a psychiatrist, and you'll be like really formal, and then it will just be like you on the other side, like what?
It's so funny. I film them at home, and I live with my parents. Mm-hmm. And my mum, I always film those ones downstairs, and I'd be like coming downstairs with like another outfit in my hand and my ring light, and my mum just laughs at me, and I'm like, what? Like, you know this is good. And like at first they were kind of like thought that TikTok was kind of like a whim, and they were kind of laughing at me about it.
Okay.
But now they're like, oh wow, you're actually doing really good. Like, this is great. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Uh-huh.
So it's just funny them seeing me with my outfits, essentially getting ready to film. They just think it's hilarious.
Well, I'm glad they're supportive of you, because I feel like my parents as well, they're just not really aware of what TikTok really is, and you have to kind of like try and explain what it is. But I'm glad that your parents are like kind of on board with it now and can see your progress and everything. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
So I was going to say to you, so how are you finding like juggling uni and like your job at the moment? Are you kind of like just working over Christmas, or do you kind of like do like, I don't know, like you pick up your job more when it's like busier times of the year?
So with uni being mainly online, I only go in 1 day a week, and I think next time I'm going in like 2 days sometimes, but mainly 1 day. My job is really flexible, so I work 2 days a week. Well, not even 2 days, it's like 1.5 days a week. So Thursday afternoon and then all day Sunday. And that is going well. Like, I've got into a good routine, and I think that's really important for me. If I don't have a routine, I fall apart. So I know what days I'm going in on uni. I know what days I'm doing uni work, because there's so much of it to do at home. And then I know what days I'm going into work. And that juggles really well. Obviously, when I'm on placement, I won't be able to work. But my job are like, that's fine. We'll just wait for you, which is great. This Christmas is great because I had a couple of weeks off because my job's shut, because we do like childcare, so we want a break. So I picked up a week at Tesco's because I thought that'd be fun. And yeah, it's so important for me to have a balance, because if I don't have the balance, I burn out. And that was my major issue before I was diagnosed, constantly burning out because I was just working so much. But now I'm like really strict on it, and I'll say no to people if I can't do it.
That's good. That's part of my problem, is knowing to say no and like doing it for myself.
Saying no is so hard.
It is, because like I for some reason I like pleasing people. It's just like inbuilt to me for some unknown reason. I don't know if it's
inbuilt in a lot of autistic people.
Yeah, you just want to like say yes and like help everyone, but actually, like you say, you just get burnt out so quick if you don't like, you know, say no, or say, you know, try and stick to a routine. I think it's really good that you've got like, you know, when you're working, you know, when you've got uni work, you kind of can block out time to film stuff as well. Like, that's good that you've got like a good like schedule in place. I think that's important.
Yeah, exactly. And I was getting pretty burnt out in November, but I think that was because there was just so much going on, like appointments as well. They proper burn me out. Like, sometimes I just have a week where I have loads of appointments, and I'm like, I know you're here to help me, but this isn't helping. And I had like tons of appointments, and at times like that, I'm just like, this isn't helping. Like, I want to cancel you, but I never do because I'm a people pleaser. But I made sure, because I was burnt out, I had more time to recharge over Christmas. So that's always good.
I think that's one thing I've learned from like getting a diagnosis as an adult, is like I can cut myself a bit more slack now and be like, you know, just be a little bit kinder to myself and stop myself from burning out. And I don't know how neurotypical people just carry on and on and on, but I know that if I don't stop, I will burn out. So
yeah, exactly. I used to really struggle with recharging. I used to just have a lot of negative thoughts. I was like lazy or not good enough or all this kind of stuff. And I used to feel so guilty. But now I'm just like, well, I'm going to have a nap and I don't care because I can do what I want.
do it for you. And that's the thing, like stuff like, I don't think people realize, like as like autistics, that like things like appointments or like even just like going to the hairdressers or something like that, it like takes up so much brain power and so much like, I don't know, like energy, like mentally, not just physically, like coming up with like a script and stuff in your head and, you know, keeping up small talk. And when you get home, all you want to do is just like flop.
It's literally exhausting. Like, as you said, even the smallest things are so tiring. And yeah, I don't get how neurotypical people do it. I don't understand.
How do you find like working in retail? Because I worked in retail for a little bit and I found like customer facing can be quite like a lot to deal with sometimes. Do you do the like same sort of role at Tesco's like each day kind of thing, or?
So I had a job in retail before Tesco's, and that didn't go very well. I was working like really short shifts, they were only 4 hours, but they were in the evening. I was working in a what do you call it, off license kind of thing, and that sucked. Like the lights were so bright because it was nighttime. The customers were just always angry or like there was always something going on. And it sucked. And I was like, I'm never working in retail ever again. And then the pandemic hit and my work shut. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to do something because I'm actually going to go insane if I don't have a routine. So luckily I got a job at Tesco's. And my first job there was .com, which is basically you go around and pick people's online shopping, which is so satisfying. I don't know if I'm autistic or what, but I love it. And I would wake up at start my shift at 6 a.m, which is pretty early for me. And I just loved it because it was like having my own job. Like I had a little, like, it's like a phone, it's a scanner, which would tell me where I needed to go in the store to get what items, and then I'd scan it and then it would colour code and be like, you need to put it in the blue tray or the orange tray. And then I'd do that. And there was like a little target on it. And like if you're doing blue, it meant you were doing amazing. And if you're doing red, it meant you were rubbish and you had to be quicker. And I just loved it. Like I always wanted to get green or blue because I'm a perfectionist. And it was just so good, like for my autistic brain. And I could just be left alone and do what I wanted. And I'd run around for 6 hours and then I'd go home at lunchtime, which was amazing because I still had the entire day. And then like when I went back, I had to do tills, which, oh my goodness.
Oh.
And like because I was only there for a week, they were like, let's do 8.5-hour shifts. And I was like, excuse me, I did not say yes to this. I said yes to 6, but
wow. Okay.
And I always had the same script for every customer, which really helped. I'd be like, if it was the morning, I'd be like, morning, how are you? And then because it was like really early, I was starting at 6 a.m, I would be like, how's your morning so far? And they'd be like, I've just woke up. And I'd be like, oh, that's a bad question. You never know at this time in the morning. And that would be my script. And then like, if it was a bit later on in the afternoon, I'd be like, how's your morning? And they'd actually have something to say about it, which was always great. And then like the closer to Christmas it got, like I'd say Merry Christmas at the end, but at the beginning of the week I wouldn't. I'd just say have a good day. Like
nice.
I was like autistic. But it was so much. Like the lights were pretty bright. Like I liked being on a till that kind of faced a wall, which I don't like normally because I like to see what's going on. But the glare of the lights was so much that if I was on a till that was facing like a lot of the shop, it was just like constant shining. Whereas there wasn't much in front of me. There was not much to shine off, which was great. But I was so exhausted. I had to go home and have a nap every time.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a lot. But that was only for a week. This is why I like .com.
Yeah, I love how
I wanted.
Yeah, that sounds so satisfying, and to like see visually that you're like hitting a target. I totally get how much fun that would be.
You would have like weekly reviews, And my manager would be like, Cheryl, you did great. You're like the one of the quickest this week. You're like green or blue. And I'd be like, yes. And then my friends would be like, I don't care about the targets. And I'm like, mate, honestly, I cannot be getting red.
I love that you're like gamifying it. You're like, I will, making like a kind of like real life game out of it and hitting your targets.
And Tesco's are really supportive. Like a week into my job, obviously the pandemic hit, a lot of change. I had a autistic meltdown in the changing room.
Okay.
And I was literally on the floor, crying, rocking, like completely inconsolable. And my manager walked in and found me. And obviously they knew I was autistic, but like never asked any questions about it. And because it was a pandemic, they were like, oh my God, we don't know what to do because we can't really get near you. And I just could not do anything. And they were like, what do you need? And I was like, fruit pastels, because they really helped ground me. And they went to the shop floor, got me some fruit pastels. I never had to pay for them. And they like gave me their blazer so I could use it as a blanket.
Okay.
And like they don't know anything about my autism, but they were so friendly and helpful. And they just let me go home, which was great. But like, I just feel so comfortable working there, whereas not all retail's like that. Retail can be horrible.
That's so great as well that they asked like, what can we do? They didn't just try and do something without consulting you. They actually talked to you like a human. That's so good. It's so nice to hear of like a company that is kind of a bit more switched on.
That's a good story.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of mentioned earlier that one of your favourite fidget toys was a Tangle, which I am definitely, supporting you with that because I love my Tangle. But do you have like any other favourite like fidget toys? Do you carry kind of them with you on a daily basis? Like how much do you use them, sort of thing?
So I have a fidget toy like pencil case in my bag, which goes everywhere with me. And inside it, there's a few different fidget toys. And it's always with me. It goes to uni. It goes to my work. It's everywhere. And I find that really helpful. With fidget toys, I don't know. Like, if I'm traveling, so like I used to do a lot of solo travel before the pandemic hit, I would always have my Tangle on the plane, in the airport, when I was going to my hotel. Like, it would always be in my hand. Whereas, like, when I'm home, not so much. Like, I'll use it if I feel like I need it. So at work sometimes, if I'm really anxious, I'll get out my fidget toys. If I'm at home, I use them a bit more at home recently because I've got some amazing new fidget toys. I've got a water wiggle, which, oh my God, is so good. And I used that all Christmas Day. And I just sat there downstairs playing with it. And my sister thought it was hilarious. She loved playing with it. She's older than me as well. I was like, I'm going to get you one of these. And at university, I've only ever used one once. And I forgot I did this because I haven't really been in education for a while. But I'm a picker, especially if I'm trying to concentrate. And I had a situation in class like the week before. It didn't go very well. And I was like, wow, I need to fiddle with something in class because, my fingers deserve better from me. And I got out a fidget toy that I don't use very often, which is like a ball and it's got sand in it. And you can like press down on it. It's just very, very satisfying. And I got it out and I always sit in the front row because it helps me concentrate. And my tutor kind of looked at me and then looked at me again, and I was like, oh no, she's like clogged the fidget toy. She didn't say anything about it. She kind of smiled at me, and it was great because that's the first time I've actually used one in class, and I was like worried about the reaction.
Okay.
And it just really helped me stop like my poor fingers. They were great after that lesson. And I don't know. So I use it when I feel like I need it, but I always have them on me because you never know when you're going to need them.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like I also really struggled. Like, are you like a nail biter? Is that what you're
a nail biter? I put the skin on my fingers.
Right. Okay. Got you. I'm a nail biter, so I get what you mean about like, I don't know, just trying to be kind to your hands every so often, and like stop and realize like, oh, I've done too much.
Yeah, and I got a new fidget toy recently. I was at work and I was Oh, it's another story. I've got so many stories. I'm sorry.
Go for it. Love a
I
story.
was at work, and I work with young people with disabilities, which is
Mhm.
great. It's like a youth centre. And one of the young people put butter in my hair, like
Oh,
loads of it. And I'm
no.
a leader at this job, so I kind of have to always be on scheme and like know what's going on. And
Mhm.
I hate things in my hair,
Mhm.
and I hate sticky things, and I hate greasy things,
Oh.
and I could feel it all in my hair, and there was nothing I could do about it. Like, the shift had only just started. It was a 7-hour shift.
Oh my god.
And I sat in the office, and I just sat there, and a youth worker came in, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "There is butter in my hair." And, like, they know I'm autistic, and I was like, I cannot deal with it. And I
Mhm.
was really anxious, and he was like, "I'm gonna get you a fidget toy." And he had some fidget toys on him, and he was like, "And I'm gonna get some baby wipes, and I'm gonna get it out of your hair." Um,
Oh.
and he did, and he let me keep the fidget toy. I was like, "You can have it back." And he was like, "No, no, no." And it's like a I googled what the name was earlier. It's what is it? A flippy chain, but it's more like an infinity ring where it's so tiny, and you just fiddle it with it in one hand, and it's
Mhm.
amazing, and it's not beating a tangle, but it's nearly there.
I know what you mean. It looks like a little, like, kind of like two key ring kind of thing.
Yes,
And yeah,
so
swivel it. Yeah.
good, so good.
Oh, bless him. That's so sweet to just have. I mean, he sounded like a legend, bless him, having wet wipes and fidget toys available.
Exactly, he was a legend.
Oh, I mean, I'd like to think even, neurotypical people wouldn't like butter in their hair, but even you just telling that story, I could like sense how awful that would have been.
It was very, very awful.
Oh, I mean, that's amazing that you're like, I feel like you're giving back to the community in so many different ways, like physically through like your job and like online through your videos. And it's amazing that you're so like positive and, despite, running into things like butter in your hair, that you're able to carry on.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things that really helps now is just being open, and like I'm open online, so why can't I be open in like real life? There's a lot
Mhm.
less people in real life than there is online. Um and so being open with my work colleagues that actually I am autistic, a lot of them follow me on TikTok, so they know what's up. Um I think that situation would have ended in a very different way if they weren't aware.
Mhm.
Because butter in my hair is not a good situation. I probably would have started crying and panicking and oh god.
That's so great that like I know it sounds weird that your colleagues follow you, but that they have that kind of background to you in a way is quite like refreshing, that they might have like come into contact with one of your videos and might be able to like chat to you about it further and stuff like that. I think that's really lovely.
It is really lovely, and my family follow me as well. And it was at Christmas, and my sister was like, "Can I just have a look at your sensory toy?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And she was like, "No, honestly, because I've seen your TikToks, and I know you don't like people taking your sensory toys." And I was like, "No, you're my sister. It's fine. I know you're going to give it back."
I love that she referenced it though, like she's like, I will give it back.
Exactly. I was like, "Don't you worry, because if you don't, I'll do a TikTok next week about you."
My sister's always like that as well. Like I used to like whenever I like before the pandemic, whenever I used to go into like a tiger store, like Flying Tiger, I used to like film stuff, and she'd always take the mick like out of me. But like more recently, whenever she goes into a tiger store, she'll send me like a clip, like pretending to be me, like vlogging, like in tiger. It's so embarrassing, but she's kind of on board with it now.
Tiger's just great for all the things.
I know, and they have so many like good like fidgets which aren't like, they're pretty decent, but they're also like cheapish.
Exactly, which is a rarity.
Mm. So some of them are so expensive, aren't they?
For real.
Oh, I can't believe we've been talking for like 45 minutes. It's gone so quick.
I've been rambling. I do apologise.
No. We like a ramble. I tend to ramble. Like sometimes I do these podcasts on my own, and that's very rambly. Just people listening to me like rant about something that's happened at work or something.
That's quite funny.
Yeah. I'm quite like, I really want to get to a point that like you're at with like work where people are kind of aware, but don't know like, everything about you kind of thing, but just for people to be aware that like I'm autistic. I'm I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to that point at work, because where I work, I've worked there for like 3 years, and it's a bit of a kind of toxic, kind of gossipy work environment. So I'm a bit worried about telling them. But I've always thought if I move on to a different job that I would definitely be like open. So, and I think like just watching like videos online and TikToks and stuff like that, it's kind of given me the confidence to think, you know, oh, when I move to another job, I'll be like more open. So yeah, it's really nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I think it's a really scary thing to do, because you don't know how people are going to react. But once you do it and people are okay with it, it's just so much easier, because it's like, actually, if you ask me if I can do an extra shift and I say I need time to think about it, I know you're going to be okay with it. Whereas if you didn't know I was autistic, you might be like, well, why? Like, why do you need time to think about it? Like, it just makes everything easier. It's just hard to do.
Yeah. And I don't know, just being able to have that kind of understanding, and like you say, people not kind of question things if you're, you know, struggling a bit or having a bit of a meltdown, like just makes everything less awkward, I think.
Definitely.
So I think we've kind of gone through all my different things that we were going to chat about. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention?
I've mentioned many things.
You need to mention your username for TikTok, because I haven't mentioned that yet.
Oh, yes.
So people can follow you.
So if you want to follow me on TikTok, my username is _thislineismine. I'm over there, and it's also the same username for Instagram and Twitter. So you can see me over there and send me a message. It'd be great, yeah.
Awesome. And is there any like meaning behind the username, just out of interest?
I get asked this question a lot. And it's kind of funny, because it was just like my Twitter username, and it's kind of like, I don't want to put my actual name on a TikTok and stuff. So I put that username, and the influence behind that is a band, 21 Pilots, who I love. And they did a video, it was ages ago now, about how you are online, and basically you have to be really careful, because you can be negative or you can be a troll, and it can really damage people's lives. Or you can be positive and you're in control of that kind of line. And I, that was just a good Twitter username to have, because I was like 21 Pilots, and when Twitter was about 21 Pilots, I was like, that'll go well. Kind of makes a lot more sense now, do TikTok, and I am constantly like, well, I'm going to be the positive in this sometimes negative viewpoint. And it makes a lot more sense now. I just don't want 21 Pilots to come for me for using that. So
No, it's fine. I really like that it like subtly plays into everything. I think that's really clever.
Yeah, I never used to. But now it makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, wow, that fits real well.
Oh no, I really like it. It's okay. I'm sure they'll be happy that you've used it.
I hope so.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my podcast and for chatting about just everything. It's really interesting to hear about, like, just, even from like your diagnosis and that process all the way through to like how you're doing now. And like, just want to say good luck with everything. Good luck with TikTok. Good luck with your uni course and your job as well. Like, I know the pandemic's been, well, actually this year in general has been pretty rough, but you've made like such a positive like impact and done some really good things this year, which is really nice to hear.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's great for me to say that I'm actually in a really good place. Like, I haven't been able to say that for years. Like, I don't think I've ever said that. And it's been a rubbish year, and things can still be rubbish, but how I view them is completely different to how I would even a year ago. And a lot of that is due to TikTok. Like, I don't think people realise the people who follow me, they've had such a massive impact on my life as well as me on theirs. Like, they've made me confident, they've made me more happy, more positive, higher self-esteem, like, completely changed my life. I never expected it. And I'm very grateful, and I'm actually really happy to say that I'm in a great place, and I'm excited for the future and to see what 2021 brings. Hopefully some better news for the world.
That would be nice. Well, thank you so much again. And anyone listening, feel free to message me or Cheryl and let us know what you thought of this podcast.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah. So, I'll see you in my next episode, everyone. So bye from me. And Cheryl, do you want to say bye as well?
Bye. Hope you all have a great day.